All right, let's talk to the Diddy. He remembers it all. He's certainly seen more of rubbing it in or running up to score or trying to send a message to a kicker who's struggling. Let's welcome. We
saw
love
Buddy
him.
Ryan, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But times have changed a little bit since then. Mr. Ray Didinger. Ray Diddy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ray. I think our football team is, to a large extent, back on track. Now, I want to be clear. I don't think they're out of the woods with the offense. But as I said earlier, I think the offense only has to be like average for this team to be able to make a deep run this year. And I think they're looking a lot more average than below average is what they look like there for a couple weeks. Ray, let's just stick with where we were in the kicking thing in the two-point conversion. Then we'll get to the whole team. What do you think the real motivation was for Sirianni? He said it was math and trying to go up 19. Do you think he was sending a message to Jake Elliott? What did you make of that whole thing?
I couldn't figure out what the hell he was thinking. I couldn't. I mean, I heard his explanation later about that it's better to be up 19 than 18. And, what if they score 2 touchdowns and get 2 two-point conversions that are going to be in position to win it? Hey, Nick, they got their third-string quarterback in there, and there's 4 minutes to go.
What do you think it was So, Ray, I thought it was a Jake Elliott thing. Dutch told me years ago there was an at-bat he had in 91, I think, in which I guess it was Fregosi said, I'm not giving you this at-bat. We're going to a pinch hitter. And it was Fregosi's way of pushing Dutch, and he told me about that years later. I read it in the moment like this was Nick Sirianni pushing Jake Elliott. Like, hey, dude, get your act together. He's not going to admit it publicly, but I actually viewed it like he was telling the kicker, get your act together. What do you?
Well, I mean, that makes more sense than telling us, well, we needed the extra point because, you never know. I mean, they could come back with Josh Johnson, could take him down the field 4 times, and that made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is it a message to the kicker? I don't know. I mean, the first thing I thought was maybe Elliott has some kind of a pulled muscle or something.
Possible.
That maybe that he's the way he's been kicking now. Maybe he's been nursing some kind of injury and he's just not up to kicking it. Now you send him out there to kick off 2 minutes later. So I don't know. I mean, I just thought it was dumb. I just thought it was dumb. It's just another one of those things that Nick kind of does sometimes that makes you scratch your head.
Yeah.
I mean, he wins a ton of games and. I mean, yesterday, he ties Greasy Neal's the second winningest coach in the history of the franchise. Greasy Neal won back-to-back world championships. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's tied him now, and the only guy who's won more games as a coach is Andy Reid. So, I mean, he's accomplished a hell of a lot. He wins the division again, which nobody's done in forever. I mean, there's an awful lot of positive stuff there. But then in the middle of it all, he'll do something like this that you hear his explanation and you walk away saying, oh, come on. I mean, really, seriously, no. So, I just don't get it. And the other part is, you're going to play that team again in 2 weeks, and it's a game you very well may need. I mean, if all of a sudden number 2 is in play, you're going to need that game. Why give that team who's dead in the water a reason to come in and with a chip on their shoulder? I don't know. I just couldn't make much sense out of it.
Our quarterback against Marcus Mariota, that competition lasted for a little bit there, Ray. Was our pass defense so successful because they're really that good, or is Marcus Mariota really poor?
Yeah, I think it's probably like most things. It's probably a little bit of both. But I do think the Eagles' defense is really good. I think it's really good. I think it's good pretty much at every level right now. And
without a dominant pass rush, Ray.
Yeah.
How do we get that?
Yeah, I mean they get some pressure, but it's not it's not the Denver pass rush. Yeah. It's not it's not what the Eagles pass rush was a couple years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. It's not that. Yeah. But it's a very well designed, and again a lot of it circles back to Fangio, who I think is really an excellent coach. I mean, Marcus Mariota has been playing forever. I mean, he's seen pretty much every kind of coverage, every kind of look, and yet there was stuff there was stuff that you could tell that he was confused by what he was looking at. And if you can confuse Marcus Mariota at this point in his career, you're doing some serious coaching, and that's the way they are, and that's why they're hard to play against. And they're playing really good. And, that's why if you're an Eagles fan and you're looking for reasons to feel kind of optimistic going into the postseason after a season that has been very, very up and down, there's no getting around it. I mean, it's been an adventure getting here. But here you are. and now you're going into the playoffs, and you're looking for things you want to hang your hat on. And this defense is going to keep you in every game.
Yeah.
They really will. I mean, they're that good. They're that consistent. They don't make big mistakes. You don't see the kinds of breakdowns that all of a sudden guys are wide open for touchdowns. They just don't play that way. I mean, they play good, solid football. And I mean, the interesting thing is, I mean, they've been down this stretch without Jalen Carter, without their best guy up front, and Jordan Davis has played really well. I mean, really well. So when Carter comes back, it's just going to make you that much stronger. I don't know what Nakobe Dean's situation is. I hope he's not out for an extended period of time. They're sort of saying that he's not going to be. But when they get all their pieces back together again, yeah, they're a formidable defense.
So, Ray, Saquon and the O-line from a run-blocking standpoint, do you think they're back or not? I don't think they're out of the woods, but it was a step in the right direction. Because the first half, I thought they struggled running it. What do you make of it?
Well, I don't know that I'd say back. I mean, it's they're kind of at a different place is where they are. I mean, they're doing some different things on offense, which I think are helping immensely. I mean, we've been talking all year about getting out of the shotgun and putting the quarterback under center. And they resisted it for a long time, and Nick kind of talked around it a lot, and they didn't really want to address it, but they finally came to the realization that they're better when they do that. I mean, they just are. I mean, here's a team that's completely wedded to the numbers and the analytics, and, well, the numbers told you that you were better with the quarterback under center, okay? And don't tell me you're this ultimate analytics team that you know all the numbers and you're inside the numbers and you know all this stuff, and then tell us that putting the quarterback under center isn't a big deal. The numbers tell you every week it's been a big deal. And now they're finally kind of committed to it, and you can see that they're much, much better under that.
Right. Why?
They're always going to be, you're always going to be a team that wants to be in the shotgun because the quarterback wants to be in the shotgun. I kind of understand that. But you see now, when you bring a little more diversity and some new elements to this offense, you put some people in motion, and you change up your formations and you run some different pass routes and you give defenses more to think about and you challenge them before the ball's ever snapped, that's a better thing. That's a healthier thing. And you can see it pretty much on every level right now. And, yeah, I mean, they're running the ball well and Barkley's running the ball well. And over the last several games now, as a team, they're averaging about 5 yards a carry, which is a huge improvement. And that's the kind of football they're going to have to play to win in the postseason.
So, Ray, last year Sirianni had an all-time to play him or not play him decision because it related to Saquon and going for the record. This year is different, but we have opened up the conversation of whether he should play the starters versus Buffalo when the 2 seed is possible, but I would say very unlikely. Would you sit him for 2 weeks? Would you play him full tilt versus Buffalo? How would you handle this one coming up next weekend?
I would go for it. I think that the 2 seed is, as long as it's in play, it's worth going for, I think. Because this team hasn't lost a home postseason game in forever. So I
guess it was Carson and Clowney, right? 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and they've played a lot of postseason games at home since then and have won them all. And home field is a big factor. It's a big factor for everybody, but especially this team in this town this time of the year. I mean, it's big. So if you can get number 2, go for it, I think. And I'm generally pretty conservative on this stuff. I mean, I was a guy that, was one of the first to say sit Saquon, last year. I really didn't care about the record. I didn't. I thought it was more important to get him rested, get him healthy in the playoffs.
Do you feel like he missed out a little bit more now, Ray?
What's that?
Do you feel like you're changing your stance on that now a little bit more? Now that it feels like that will never really get close to that again?
No, absolutely not. As I said to you at the time, John, I don't think I mean, who knew who had the record? Honest to God, how many people knew Eric Dickerson had the record? If you asked 10 people on the street who was the NFL record for most yards rushing in a season, half of them would tell you Barry Sanders, and the other half would say Emmitt Smith, and probably 3 people would say Walter Payton. Nobody knew or particularly cared that Eric Dickerson had the record. It's a great achievement. It's historic. I'm sure it's a lovely thing. It would have been a great thing for Saquon Barkley, and he earned every bit of it. I mean, he did. He was fantastic last year. But the bigger picture was getting him ready to tote the mail in the postseason, and that's what helped you win a Super Bowl. I think it was absolutely the right decision, and not even a tough one to make. This one you can go both ways on. I mean, I could see the other side of the argument saying, hey, this team, you got a lot of guys here that are really beat up, and they could use the rest. And I'm not going to argue against that. I think that's true. But I think that number 2 seed that's worth fighting for. And I would play my guys up in Buffalo. Now the one caveat I would say to this is we're hearing that Lane Johnson might be ready to play this week. And look, I'm not going to try and tell you that Lane Johnson isn't a better right tackle than Fred Johnson. He certainly is. But the long-term weather forecast for Buffalo next weekend is pretty brutal. And if it's really bad and it's really snowy and it's like crazy bad footing and it's treacherous out there, and we've all seen the field in Buffalo in December and January, we know what it can be like. If those are the conditions you're going to be playing in, then in my view, Lane Johnson ain't playing. You're not going to send him out there. You're not going to send him out there with coming off a foot injury to play on a bad field. I wouldn't do that.
Wow.
So that's everybody else.
I didn't think about that.
If they can play, they can play. In my view, because I think the number 2 is worth playing for as long as it's there and it's there. But I would not. If the conditions are now, listen. If the conditions are okay.
That field is that pro turf stuff, but the way that the wind whips around and
it's saying rain
can
with
freeze
snow
it up.
mixing in and the winds around.
Yeah,
they're
talking about a lot of snow mixed in with freeze and rain, and Lane Johnson. I don't want to bring him back coming off a Liz Frank injury and put him on a bad field like that.
Yeah.
So he's the one guy that I would opt to the side of caution and not play him. But everybody else I would play, and I would play it to win. And then we'll reassess after that. We'll reassess about how you're going to approach Washington. Listen, you might be able to beat Washington with your backups anyway. But this week I would play all out.
Yep. Ray, one more thing here, and this is looking ahead. And this is really going to be more of a March conversation when this whole season's done. But have you thought about how the Eagles are going to have to shift their economics away from the offense, or likely will, so dramatically? I mean, highest paid offense in football. I mean, when you think about it, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean after next year are going to get paid a lot. Jalen Carter could get paid after this year. They could wait a year. Jordan Davis is going to get paid. You'd like to keep Blankenship. You'd like to keep Nakobe. Jalen Phillips. I mean, they're not going to be able to keep this defense without paying some guys some big money. So I think at some point whether it's A.J. Brown or some others, someone's going to go from the offense because you can't pay both sides of the ball.
The Nakobe injury situation, Ray, I said a week ago, we must bring Nakobe Dean back, but now
and he got hurt.
Another injury.
It's to be considered.
It factors in.
It does. So, Ray, what do you make of it? I almost feel like it might be the last hurrah for the offense getting paid this much money.
Could be. The way you lay it out there, that is the reality of it. And you do have an awful lot of money tied up on your offense.
Ray, I'll just say this. They let guys like T.J. Edwards go. They're not going to let Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean go.
Oh, God, no. No.
And those guys are going to get paid
blasphemy.
and they're going to get $100 million.
Blaspheme.
So
those two guys are elite players.
Yes.
They're not just good players. They are elite players. Whatever it takes to keep them, you're going to keep them. And Phillips too. I think that one thing you got going for you is this is the kind of stuff that Howie is really good at. You have a guy who's going to be making these decisions, who's as good at making these decisions as anybody in football. It's even going to be a challenge for him, I think.
Yep.
The one guy, and John put his finger on it, the one guy who I think poses the thorniest question here is Nakobe Dean. Because I think he's a terrific player, and I think you saw when he came back this year how much better the defense was. But the concern with him is the same concern you had when he came out of college, which is his size. And at his size and the way he plays, can he make it through a 17-game season? If you really have questions about that, and based on his track record to this point, you should. Then that's going to enter into the decision. And also, you drafted Jahad Campbell, who you're probably thinking could maybe play in that spot anyway. If it were up to me, I would do all I could to keep Nakobe here because I think he's that good and I think he's that important. But his durability question will factor very heavily into the decision you're going to make about re-upping him and extending him.